how to keep the Sabbath day. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor, and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger, who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and hallowed it. Exodus 28:11. Now, that is a translation of what was given to Moses, to give to the Hebrews, which would eventually be given to all mankind. And Moses continued to deliver this message in instances throughout his history. But know that anything added beyond what he did was not done by God or Moses. Other people along the way made changes as to what you should do on the Sabbath day. You won't see Moses directing anyone to go to church, get home, before the sun goes down on Friday, or anything like that, because it wasn't about anything but obedience to God and resting. Yet know that church is a good place to be if you are keeping the Sabbath holy. More on that later. In Exodus 28 Moses again said, "Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy." But the Sabbath was not a game to Moses, and especially God. So Moses was forced to show how serious it was to be obedient and honor the Sabbath day. Listen to this. In Exodus 31:13-15 he said, 6 days my work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Now, in Exodus 35:2 he said, 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be to you a holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. Now again, listen to this story about the Sabbath in Numbers 15:32-36. And they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And all of the congregation brought him without the camp, and stoned him with stones, and he died, as the Lord commanded Moses. Do you still think the Sabbath is not all that serious? It is plain here in Leviticus 19:3-30. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths, I am the Lord your God. But in fairness to Moses and God, they had to be tougher on the Hebrews of that day than they are us today for 2 reasons. 1. The Hebrews were a very disobedient people, and 2. Moses had to stay tough on them, because they were expected to bring the truth about God to the world. Moses couldn't just let them make casual choice. But we are in modern times now. Yet know that the Sabbath is still the Sabbath. According to Hebrews 4:9, there still remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. If you researched properly, you know that the Sabbath still exists. If you need help, go look at other videos on my YouTube channel. Now that you know that it exists, what should you do on the Sabbath? Well, Exodus 16:30 simply said, the people rested on the seventh day. Yes, rest is what it is about, or at least a big part of it. Let me sum this whole Sabbath day thing up like this. No man has the authority to tell another man how to honor the Sabbath. We need to look to God, now that Moses and others are done bringing the Jews out of the wilderness. After all, God is the one who gave the Sabbath in the first place. The Sabbath no longer needs the deadly consequences like Moses gave in the wilderness. We have an idea of who God is now, so it is up to each of us to be obedient and do God's will. If we choose not to keep the Sabbath, the negative consequences show up in our life and health. The Sabbath was made for the well-being of humans. We can't go around killing people for not keeping the Sabbath, That's why we know something has changed about the Sabbath from the Old Testament. God hasn't changed, neither has the Sabbath itself. We are just back in the hands of God, and not Moses. We are not in the middle of the wilderness trying to decide if this God thing is really real. The truth has been revealed about God, and now we are individually responsible for being obedient to Him. Now we can try to experience why the Sabbath was put in the 10 Commandments in the first place. I hope you are following me. Some would also say that the Sabbath is from sunup to sundown. And once again I will say that this is not what Moses gave. At least I don't know of where he specified the time period. Others in the Bible may have decided to honor Friday evening to sundown on Saturday evening, but this would have been their opinions. Sorry, it was their opinion, which became tradition. Well, I don't really want to look like I'm nitpicking the Sabbath, so I will leave at the accepted time period for the sake of peace. God is not that shallow about minutes. God has inspired me to believe that these are just some of the things that modern man can do on the Sabbath. These are things that are not considered work. There could be others, but let that be between you and God. No one can force it on you. Here are some possible Sabbath activities. 1. Rest from a week of secular work and activities. 2. Meditate, pray, and revitalize your spirit. 3. Go to church or temple for worship. 4. Eat your own food that was previously prepared. Remember Moses and the manna. 5. Help the needy. 6. Visit people in hospitals. 7. Minister to people in jail. 8. Take care of unforeseen emergencies. Remember Jesus and the ox and ditch story. There might be some that will find text to use for an argument against what I may say. I expect they might, but know that you can't make me wrong, and neither can I force you to open a closed mind and rid yourself of an enslaving spirit. Truth always sets you free. Jesus died so we can be free to choose obedience or disobedience, and both come with consequences. But fortunately none of the consequences are held by stiff-necked religious folk. So the Sabbath is real, and I believe it exists according to the 10 Commandments. You must decide what you want to do about it. You for you, and me for me. Thank you for now. My words are my words, and I hold the rights to my words. Don't worry about searching my profile for insight. Just hear what I got to say and govern yourself accordingly. Hopefully you will do it with the help of the Lord. And of course I am not the person you hear. Who knows who I am at this point? Until next time, Mr. Exposer of your lies.